What is going on, family? We are back, joined by our friends on stream on every other Monday for Patreon Appreciation Night. So we definitely want to appreciate our good friend Cole. You may know her as What's Her Face. You may know her as that girl over there. And right now, I currently know her as the girl who hates Twitch. So shout out to her for being a Patreon member of the channel. She has got to check it out. Lydia the Bard. I want to say we've checked out this. No, I don't think we have. Maybe I've just heard of her before. The song is called Feed Us Your Girls. This song is 4 months old, so if you like it, definitely know what to do. Go give it some love and some support. We'll make sure we give it some love on the boosting efforts on the backside. Let's go ahead and check out the song. Okay, yeah, there was a trigger warning. I wanted to see, what did it say? This video contains themes and imagery related to sexual violence and abuse, victim blaming, gender-based violence, and graphic language and metaphorical depictions of harm. Oh boy. Okay, we might be getting into some talking today.
Young girl or a pretty meal, the line is just her fine. Little Red walked out alone, joining the buffet of the night. See the wolves, they wait and watch now, hoping for a bite. Fresh meat on a busy street, the minute you're out of sight. Little Red walked out alone, joining the buffet of the night.
Little Red walked out alone, joining the buffet of the night. Jesus. The ties of basically just the everyday woman or the everyday, female in this scenario, like tying to be like Little Red Riding Hood. I think that's like a really cool tie together. It's a great way to basically tell the story, if that makes any sense. That line about like going out into the night, that basically they're just, the night is the terror.
Little Red, she knows these streets, so why should she be afraid? She walks out with a blood red cloak, but red's his favorite shade. You'll attract the wrong attention, wearing colors such as those. Boys will be boys, wolves will be wolves, but what does mother know? Feed us your girls, the wolves shout out. Feed us the ones with curves, the ones without. Feed us your girls, from plate to mouth. Honey, you're the entree when you dress like that and mother's not around.
Hold on, what did you say? You're just an entree when mother's what?
You dress like that and mother's not around.
And mother's not around. Oh my god. Yeah, so there's like the ties like to that, basically like the Little Red Riding Hood, or Little Red, I think she just keeps calling her, is like basically just like the prey for the wolves in the night. Like all the like the lyrics about like, walking down streets that she's familiar with, but why should she be afraid? We've talked about this in like so many other reaction videos and some other times when we've gotten into like the songs with this kind of subject matter into it, where the reality for women and the reality for men are like two very different things. And I think that a lot of times guys don't really think about the perspectives of what it's like to really put yourself like in a woman's shoes that way. Where again, like until you like start listening to songs like this, or even just basically even just talk to a woman about what their experience is like, and they'll sit there and tell you all day long about this kind of shit, right? Where you as a man don't really have the same kind of perception or perspective on like when you're like walking down your familiar neighborhood in a time, in a place where you probably shouldn't be, maybe, or whatever, right? We all think to ourselves, as long as we keep to ourselves, everything will be fine because we're a man, which is typically the reality, right? Where typically, as long as you keep to yourself, people will leave you alone. That's not necessarily the case for women. You know what I mean? They very much try to keep to themselves and they get harassed. And just because you might not be the one harassing them doesn't mean that they don't get harassed. That's the thing that drives me the most insane is I think when I hear guys say that like they don't witness or see stuff like that, so they don't believe that it really happens. And it's like, that's probably like the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? Like, do you believe that child slavery happens? And they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, well, have you ever seen it before? Well, no. But so why do you believe it? You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same fucking concept. Just because you've never seen it with your own eyes and you weren't ever witnessed something doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen frequently. Again, I say this almost every time we get into a video like this, where it's like the women wouldn't keep making songs about this if this wasn't the average woman's experience. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not just these random outliers that are telling these stories and writing these songs. Let's see already. The song is 4 months old and has 1 million views. What does that tell you? You know what I mean? That tells you that women feel the same way about this. That means that finally somebody's saying something that, you know, again, you know, that I resonate with. You know what I mean? And I really hate that "boys will be boys" line. You know what I mean? Well, not that I hate it in the song. I hate the fact that it's in there because it's like that concept. I hate the concept of "boys will be boys" because like that right there, again, just straight up patriarchy at work, fam. Just patriarchy at work. Okay, like I said, I knew this one was gonna make me talk.
Don't arrive and dinner scraps are on the street from just last night. People whisper it's a fault with a red so very bright. A silly girl, a common whore, someone cover up that sight. No one likes to see leftovers by the dawning light. And there's a buffet every night. The little red singular's woods. Each tree and every stone doesn't matter either way when there's a wolf inside your home. You can hear the growlings, you throw the dog a bone. You'll catch more bees with honey, dear, but what does mother know? Feed us your girls, the wolf shout out. Feed us the ones with curves, the ones without. Feed us your girls, from plate to mouth. Honey, you're the entree when you dress like that. Little red was not a meal, a little girl is not a tease. A cloak is not an invitation for what's underneath. A no does not mean yes, there's no riddle, there's no test. Blood red clothes alone at night shouldn't equal death. But the wolves are very hungry, gnashing pointed teeth. Don't care what the rapper's like, it'll eat you if you breathe. So maybe it doesn't matter how we choose to wrap our skin, 'cause you prefer to blame the gods. Deal with your own sin. Feed us your girls. The wolf shout out. Feed us the ones with curves, the ones without. Feed us your girls, from plate to mouth. Honey, you're the entree when you dress like that. Mother's not around.
Give her a sub, give her a thumbs up. And she put the lyrics in here. There are so many different times where like there's just like, I feel like she hit like almost all of those, what's the word, like the stereotypical excuses that they make for like why things like this happen, where it was like, you know, when she made color like references about how like the colors of the clothes that she was wearing and how essentially like there was in so many ways that, like that she was asking for it, right? That you shouldn't dress like that if you don't want attention type vibes. There, like I said, there was just a lot of different comments that were very, very like similar in that way, where it was all painting those same excuses that people have made for why stuff like this is okay or to and has happened. You know, in a case like this where it really paints the picture of like, you know, something really terrible happening in the idea of this, like there's no excuses. You know what I mean? When I think that's the whole point of like why I said about how that boys will be boys, wolves will be wolves line. makes me so angry because like there is no excuse, there is no boys will be boys, and these kinds of things happen. You know what I mean? Like that there's never like an excuse for it. And to think that there was ever a point in time in history that the idea that people would agree with, like, well, you know, like she said, she's a silly girl, she's a common whore, right? Like that was a direct line from the song when she's like, when that was what people would just think about. She was like, oh well, you know, she dresses like that, so she dresses like a whore, so that's how she gets treated. Like, and how society would all think that same thing, right? It just, like I said, it just still kind of blows my mind that these conversations and these kinds of songs and stuff like this are so frequent within our society, because again, it's something that there's still problems with. Does it look the same way that it did 20, 30 years ago? No. But is a lot of the same problems still around and exist? Absolutely. You know what I mean? The idea of like people getting catcalled today, like that's kind of like a thing that doesn't happen as much. But there's still like those same kinds of random stranger pressures that happen, and unwanted attention, and all those kinds of things that happen. Again, like, you know, can't even walk down a familiar street, those familiar neighborhoods, these woods that we're familiar with, like without needing to be worried for your own safety. You know what I mean? Again, that's something as a lot of guys, we don't think about it that way. We don't think about like our own, like our safety is in that much kind of danger just because of who we are, what we look like, maybe how we're dressed. You know, the kind of, again, we don't get that kind of unwanted attention as much. Does that make sense? Where women get a lot of unwanted attention, really, no matter the scale of attractiveness. And the more of this, you go higher on the attractive scale, the more unwanted attention they get. Honey, you're the entree when you dress like that. I just think of certain people that I've had like in my life when they point out other people and say that basically, like, you know, they are dressed unmodestly. So immediately, like, you know, they kind of have some of those same kind of stereotypes and principles. Just because you might not dress away doesn't mean that somebody else shouldn't be able to. And it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't be able to keep to themselves by how you're dressed. You know what I mean? You're never responsible for somebody else's you're never responsible for someone else's actions based on how you look. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I think that's all I got for this one, guys. Shout out to Cole for making me talk today. Even though she hates Twitch. She'll see it eventually. Appreciate you, friend. I think that's all I got. Be kind to a stranger. Tell somebody that you love them. And if you haven't joined the Foxtrot family, there's always room for you.